All right, here we start with this part of the grammar. We got here how often and frequency expressions. And like the name, well, how often is the question that we ask when we want to know how many times or how frequent you complete an action. Simple. So the question would be how often, and then the rest of the information. How often do you see your best friend? How often do you cook? How often do you visit your grandmother? How often do you take English classes? How often do you study before the class? And the answer for that, it's going to be something that has a frequency or that has some time included. In this case, you got to hear how often do you see your best friend or how often do you see your grandmother? Then you answer with one of these frequency expression. They are called frequency expression because they express how frequent things are done. So here you have I see her, or you could just say every day, every Monday, every week, every month, every summer, every year, every, and then something that express a length of time, like a day, every hour, it could be anything that will be an interval of time you can use in this context. How often do you see your best friend? How often do you see your grandmother? I see my grandmother every
Teacher,
hour. Yes,
how often do you drink coffee?
I drink coffee 3 times a day or several times a day, meaning more than one time. Very good question. So
Oh my God.
the question will be how often, and then the answer is going to depend on the frequency that you complete that action. So you can say every in an interval of time. You can say once. Once means one time in this case,
One time.
once a day, once a week, once a month, once a year. We can say, how often do you go to the movies? Once a month, and that would be good. Now you could say twice. Twice means 2 times. You could say 3 times. You could say 4 times, 10 times, depending on the times. Like if I ask you, how often do you take a shower? And you could say once a month, and that would be, you know, perfect. You take a shower once a month. Okay?
Like Mr. Reyes.
No, no, no. My students normally take a shower once a week.
Oh. Yeah, teacher, that's true.
Okay, okay.
No, no, no. What happened, teacher? No.
Is only an example. And you can say several times. Several times means that is plural, that is more than one time, but that you don't remember at that time. That means, that is more than one, several times. All the time, I take a shower all the time. That means that it happens very frequent. Once in a while,
That's important.
I'm sorry,
Take a shower all the time. That's impossible.
impossible. Okay, for some people,
Yeah.
for some people.
Because if you are taking a shower all the time, you don't drink, you don't go outside, you don't eat, you don't nothing.
All the
You
time,
don't do
yes.
nothing.
Okay, no, but
Stay in the bathroom.
it's an expression though. When we say all the time, that means that you do it very, 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 very frequent. Like you got here, how often do you see your best friend? All the time. That means that you see your best friend every day and several times a day. Once in a while, that
Okay,
means
teacher.
like every 3 months. All right, once in a while, well, one time, maybe every 6 months, once in a while. It's like when I remember. It's not never, all right? It's not never, but when you remember, it's not very frequent. Hardly ever, hardly ever is almost never. Almost. It's very close to never. So if you go to the movies once a year, you can say, I hardly ever go to the movies. I hardly ever go to the movies. That means that is very rare. It, it doesn't happen very often. It's almost, we could say never that happens. Question.